My parents took me to court for keeping the house I bought. No joke. Last month I closed on my very first home after 13 years of saving, working 2 jobs. And their response? A lawsuit from my own parents. Hey Reddit. My name is Claire Matthews. I'm 34 years old and I've worked nearly every day of my adult life to achieve one dream: owning a home of my own. Not a mansion, not some huge estate, just a modest house where I could finally exhale and say I did this. No cosigner, no handouts. Just me, my relentless work ethic and years of sacrifice. So you can probably imagine how crushing it felt when just a month after I closed on that house, my own parents filed a lawsuit against me for keeping it. Let me back up. I grew up in a small town in Oregon, the oldest of 3 kids. My parents, Mark and Linda, were always complicated, not abusive, not cruel, at least not in ways you could point at and name, but emotionally manipulative and deeply entitled. My dad worked construction. My mom worked part-time at a local gift shop. We were never rich, but I didn't realize just how much they resented money until I started making my own. I was the first in my family to go to college. I worked 2 jobs to get through it, waitressing at night, tutoring during the day. I majored in accounting and landed a job straight out of school at a firm in Portland. I stayed in Portland ever since, slowly working my way up. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I lived frugally. No vacations, no luxury items, just saving for 13 years because I wanted a house that no one could take from me. And finally, in March of this year, I closed on a charming 2-bedroom craftsman with a little porch and a fenced backyard. It needed some work, sure, but it was mine. Mine. The closing day was one of the proudest moments of my life. Naturally, I told my parents. I thought they'd be happy. They were not. At first they pretended. My mom said she was proud of me, but her voice was flat. My dad made a sarcastic comment about how nice it must be to not have 3 kids draining your bank account. Then came the comparisons, how they never had help when they bought their house, never mind that they inherited theirs from my grandfather, how I was lucky to be single with no one tying me down. But the real drama began 2 weeks after I moved in. They drove down to visit uninvited and walked through my house like they were inspecting a hotel suite. My mom made comments about which bedroom she'd like, and my dad started asking about what I planned to do with the backyard. It was strange, possessive. And then during dinner, my mom casually said something that stopped me cold. You know, Claire, you don't really need all this space to yourself. Your brother and his family have been struggling. Wouldn't it make sense for them to move in? Just until they get back on their feet. I choked on my drink. My brother Daniel is 30, married and has 2 kids. He's always been the golden child, even when he was a mess. He's been in and out of jobs, had some trouble with the law, and never really got his act together. I love my nieces, but I knew what this meant. I was being set up. I told them gently but firmly that no, this was my house and I wasn't going to turn it into a boarding facility for Daniel's family. I offered to help in other ways. I even said I could loan them some money if things were tight, but that clearly wasn't the answer they wanted. That night after they left, I felt a strange pit in my stomach, like something was shifting, and I was right. Over the next few days, my mom kept calling, guilt-tripping me, asking if I even remembered who helped raise me, saying that family helps family. I started ignoring the calls. Then I got a letter. It was from a lawyer. My parents were filing a civil suit claiming implied ownership and entitlement to the house on the grounds that I owed them for the costs of raising me. They were literally suing me, their own daughter, for the right to either force the sale of my home or obtain a financial interest in it. I sat on my porch in disbelief, holding the letter with shaking hands. I thought, this can't be real, but it was. I immediately hired a lawyer of my own, and thank God I had the means to do so. My attorney was stunned but not surprised. Apparently these kinds of family suits happen more than you'd expect, especially when money or property is involved. In the weeks that followed, my parents went full Scorched Earth. They told extended family I was greedy, that I stole from them, that I'd promised them a place to live and then cruelly kicked them to the curb. Some relatives stopped talking to me. Others sent me nasty messages. Even my youngest sister Rachel accused me of turning my back on the people who sacrificed everything for me. No one seemed to understand that I hadn't taken anything from anyone. I'd worked. I'd saved. I'd waited over a decade to afford this home. And now they were trying to rip it out from under me because they felt entitled to what I'd built. But the final straw that came during the preliminary hearing, my parents showed up in their Sunday best, looking like the picture of innocent retirees. Their lawyer claimed I'd verbally promised to let them live with me and that I only purchased the house because they'd emotionally supported me all those years. They even brought up a time I crashed at their house during a job hunt after college as evidence that I owed them. My lawyer calmly countered with documentation, years of bank statements, texts, voicemails, even a recording I had of my mom admitting I was being unfair to Daniel by not sharing my house. The judge wasn't buying their argument. Still, it didn't end that day. The judge pushed the matter into mediation, hoping we'd settle. My lawyer advised me to be civil but firm, so I met with them. I listened and I was horrified. They didn't just want to move in, they wanted partial ownership. They wanted me to sign over a percentage of the house to them so that if I ever sold it, they'd get a cut. My dad even said, "This is our retirement, Claire." My jaw dropped. I looked at the people who raised me, who were supposed to want the best for me, and I saw nothing but greed. Not pride. Not love. Just expectation and resentment. I said no firmly. The next week my mom posted a rant on Facebook accusing me of being ungrateful, of stealing from them, of becoming selfish since I moved to the city. She said God would punish me for turning my back on my family. But here's the thing, I'm done being the daughter who bends until she breaks. The trial date is set for next month. My lawyer is confident. Their case has no real legal ground. But emotionally it's taken everything from me. I can't sleep. I feel like I'm mourning the loss of parents who were never really there to begin with. I walk through this house now and instead of peace I feel dread. All I wanted was a safe place, a home. Instead I got betrayal. And the worst part, one don't think I've even seen the full extent of what they're willing to do yet. I wish I could say that mediation was the peak of the nightmare, but in truth it was just the turning point. After I refused to hand over a share of the house, my parents became relentless. If I wasn't going to give them what they wanted willingly, they were going to destroy my name trying. First came the online slander. My mom weaponized Facebook like a pro. She posted long-winded rants tagging distant relatives and even former neighbors from our hometown. She wrote that I had turned my back on my aging sick parents after they gifted me the funds to buy a house, a total lie. I never accepted a cent. She called me a heartless daughter who forgot where she came from. But what really broke me was when she dragged my job into it. Somehow they found the LinkedIn page of my firm and started leaving scathing comments on company posts. My mom even sent an email to HR claiming I was a manipulative employee who had a history of family fraud. She spun some delusional story about elder exploitation, hoping to get me fired. Thankfully my boss knew me well enough to ignore it, but the humiliation was paralyzing. I had to sit in a formal meeting with HR, explain the family lawsuit, and answer questions like I was some kind of criminal. I kept my head down and kept going. The court date finally arrived 3 weeks later. It was surreal sitting on the other side of a courtroom from the people who gave me life. My parents looked calm, almost smug. Their lawyer argued that over the years they had provided me with financial and emotional support and I had promised to repay them through housing. They brought photos, texts, even claimed my graduation party, which they hosted over a decade ago, was an example of investment in my future. When it was our turn, my lawyer was surgical. He presented my bank records, loan history, and emails proving I had paid for my own college apartment rent and the house in full. The most powerful moment came when he played an audio recording I had taken during the mediation, one where my dad said, "This house is our retirement," and my mom responded, "You owe us. Don't forget who raised you." The judge listened quietly. And when he finally spoke, his tone was sharp. He said that while it was unfortunate to see a family in this state, there was absolutely no legal basis for my parents' claims. He reprimanded them for abusing the court system and attempting to coerce property from their daughter through manipulation. He dismissed the case entirely. It was over, at least legally. After the ruling, I walked past my parents without saying a word. My mom hissed, "You'll regret this," and my dad muttered something about how I'd be alone forever. I went home that night, sat on my back porch and cried, not from relief, not from victory, from grief. Because the thing no one tells you about setting boundaries with toxic parents is that even when you win, it still feels like a loss. You still mourn the version of them you hoped existed. The parents who would have been proud, who would have helped you paint your kitchen or plant your garden instead of scheming to take it away from you. In the months since I've gone low contact, Rachel, my youngest sister, eventually reached out and apologized for taking their side. She said she hadn't known the full story. We've slowly begun rebuilding our relationship, though it's cautious. As for Daniel, he posted a meme after the case was dismissed. Some people forget who fed them when they were hungry. Subtle. I've started therapy. It helps. My therapist told me something I'll never forget. You're allowed to walk away from family who choose to see you as a resource instead of a person. The house. It's finally beginning to feel like home. I painted the walls last week. I planted daisies in the front garden. And one evening I invited my neighbors over for wine on the porch. We laughed. We talked about everything from work to books to how hard it is to find decent furniture under $1,000. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt like I belonged somewhere, not because someone let me in but because I built it. So yes, my parents sued me for the house I bought, but what they really wanted was control. And for the first time in my life, I didn't give it to them. I chose peace. And for that I have no regrets. And while I lost my parents in the process, I finally found my freedom, and that's a home no one can take from me.